Storytime screams. 4 years ago, my sister met this guy named Jeremy. He wasn't the most good-looking guy ever, but she told us his family was wealthy. At first, we thought he was full of it, and my sister was blinded by the possibility of living the good life. But soon we would know for sure just how much money he had, and we would also know that no amount of money would ever be worth the things my sister went through. At first, Jeremy spoiled my sister, and he spoiled us. He would send us all on trips, and he would get us designer stuff for Christmas. I have to admit that he was a little controlling. He did things like buy my sister 2 phones, so there was never an excuse for her not to answer his calls, and I'm pretty sure he was using them to track her, because he would always just show up places. My sister and Jeremy dated for 2 years, and they definitely had their ups and downs. I'm not proud of it, but we all encouraged her to work it out, because we wanted to keep going on nice trips and getting nice things. But if I knew everything I know now, I would have told her to run and never look back. There's so much I wish I knew, but when Jeremy told me he was going to propose to my sister, I was beyond happy. It was an amazing wedding in Italy. We were all invited, and everything was paid for and taken care of. My sister and Jeremy went on a month-long honeymoon traveling all across Europe, and I have to admit I was kind of jealous. It wasn't until a year later I would find out there was absolutely nothing to be jealous of. Once they got back from their honeymoon, my sister told me they had already bought a house. I knew money was no object, but I was really surprised by how quickly they found a place. I remember the first time I went to go see the house, I noticed I didn't see any neighbors. It was a little weird, but I figured all the cars were in the garages since it was a really wealthy neighborhood. The house was beautiful and gigantic, and I felt like my sister was living a fairy tale. I asked her if she was able to meet any of her neighbors, and in a super casual way she said something that shocked me. Jeremy had bought almost every house on the block. I thought she was joking at first, but then she started explaining how Jeremy didn't like neighbors, and they wanted to add on to their house, and it dawned on me that she was serious. At the time I was just jealous. I know I shouldn't have been jealous of my sister, but it seemed like she was living a life I could only dream of. After that I felt like my sister was rubbing her lifestyle in my face, so I just stayed away from her. It wasn't until a month ago that I would learn how much of a nightmare my sister's life really was. I got a phone call from my mom telling me that my sister was in the hospital, and we needed to get there as soon as possible, but we didn't make it in time. I couldn't believe my sister was gone, but things would get worse. They were saying Jeremy did it, and I didn't believe it until I went into their house. What I saw made me sick, and I regretted leaving my sister alone in that house of horror for even a second. There were cameras in every single room, even the bathrooms. None of the rooms or closets had doors, and I found a dog bowl full of dog food with my sister's name on it. It was at that moment I realized that he bought all the other houses on the street, so no one would hear my sister's screams.